Hey, folks, welcome to the show. Hello, Sharat sir. How's it going?
It's going very well. And today's a little bit of a different spin on our podcast, eh?
Yes, it is actually. And I'm pretty fascinated because, we are such big consumers of e-commerce platforms on a day-to-day basis. It's always, insightful to meet someone who figures out the customer funnel and how various e-commerce brand actually reach their consumers. So with that in mind,
And how we are being nudged into making purchase decisions we otherwise probably wouldn't have.
quotes. So no, we have with us Narinder. Narinder joins us from ODN. Welcome to the show, Narinder. How's it going?
All good, all good. Thank you guys for inviting me here.
No, the pleasure is all ours. We kind of threw in a few nuggets in terms of what you do, but would love to start by asking you to give a brief explainer on ODN. What's the business and what's the model that you have been following to date?
So we have just found ourselves, at a very sweet spot in the recent past, because for many years we were into content, but after lockdowns and the whole world moving to the online space, e-commerce seeing very, very strong boost in terms of sales. A lot of brands trying to go online now, and I think the whole economy in terms of e-commerce has bursted open now, and the kind of advertising spends that are shifting towards digital, it is pushing every brand to do something very different, and content is eventually taking a center stage. And that's why I'm saying that we find ourselves at a very good spot right now, where we already had a lot of technical expertise when it comes to e-commerce content. Now it is just about scaling it up, and
So you said e-commerce content. Could you explain that a bit? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so one is that we all have been hearing brand content, or brand marketing content, or central marketing content. Now over when digital has taken over, what we are realizing, that the brand loyalties are shifting to product loyalties. And now to talk about the product in the best way possible, the content that is needed to explain the concept or the ideation or the features of the product, everything is shifting towards to justify that loyalty that the brand wants to have from the customer around the product now. So that's what calls for a very specific approach how to present the products in the best way possible. So that's where e-commerce content comes in, where right from understanding what the product is all about, what the target audience is, what the competition is doing in the similar space, and then devising a particular kind of a strategy for that product, that how it should be presented in on the e-commerce marketplaces, on the brand and e-commerce store, or on social media platforms. Wherever you are actually presenting that product out, how it should be talked about is where we specialize in. And the ultimate object is to sort of have a call to action of actually buying purchase that product. Is that sort of the ultimate objective? Definitely, because e-commerce word automatically comes with performance. So, so the content has to move something, right? Yeah. The content has to justify something. The whole effort of strategy till the delivery for us is that, that we are able to show some impact of that content in terms of conversions, or in terms of searchability and clicks, and other parameters for performance marketing. Very interesting. The reason I ask is, if you go back 30, 40 years, when talking about linear television, right? That commercial of 2 minutes was the first form of. I was exposed to a video content used to drive acquisition or make a purchase. Not at that moment, but there is a lag. You keep it at the back of your mind. And since then, things have evolved so much that people have also used content as a churn mitigant or a subscriber retention. But now we're sort of coming back to again using it as an customer acquisition at that point. So that timeline has sort of collapsed. Now you're consuming content, and the time between you can actually purchase is almost zero. That's where sort of, I guess, your the strategy behind putting the right content comes in, right? Exactly, because earlier when we used to have TV advertisements or hoardings or newspaper ads, which were like they still hold a very important role in brand marketing, but that is largely because it was performing really well earlier. Because then you had a sales guy in the physical store explaining about the product's features and the talking about the brand legacy and all that stuff. Now we don't have anything in terms of talking about the key points on the digital space. Now we just have those assets, those videos, those images where we can explain the product and the brand thought process and the legacy behind the whole storyline. So that's why it is becoming. It's like your sales people on Amazon selling your products. So. Yeah. So it is acting like that. So and it has to be as close as possible. It will go as close as possible to the offline, sales guy. The way they explain. So that's why you will see technologies like AR technologies or VR technologies later on taking over. So in digital also we'll go as close as the offline experience. But right now we are at a stage where images, videos, these graphics are playing a very important role in explaining the product features, right?
It's these things often come and go in waves, and often history rhymes when it comes to media in general, right? I mean, there was around probably half a decade back. It was all about moving online, moving online. Brick and mortar sounded like a very antiquated concept, almost like a dinosaur. Then suddenly, from moving online, and a fair amount of VC capital going into companies, and then burning it all because of higher customer acquisition costs. Now the shift is back towards offline, and the buzzword is omni-channel, right? That no, we have to be omni-channel or we have to be phygital. Now there are, if you look at it, any kind of a boutique niche brand, there are just so many touch points that a customer potentially has, right? It's the brand's website, it's their app. They'll probably be available on some third-party e-commerce, be it they'll be available maybe on some quick commerce play also. Now there are so many multiple touch points. How do you even? I mean, and this is very different from say a time when you had to go to a store to buy a product, and you will basically get some sort of a branding awareness about them through television or through newspapers. So how do you kind of look at this in a more macro level from your vantage point? Maybe the best way can also be like if you can give us a case study or some sort of an example of a particular situation where you kind of intervened at multiple levels. That might be a more,
Yeah, so theoretically, if you look at it, what used to happen is that so for example, even when the digital took over the 2015, 2016, I'm talking about, there was a mad rush of everybody going online and marketplaces, money invested and all that stuff. At that time, everybody just wanted to go online and nobody knew what to do, how to do it. And within a brand, for example, say a brand Haldiram or any brand for that matter, there were individual channels, and individual channels were handling their own communication in their own way. So there was an e-commerce team, there was a performance marketing team, there was a offline, modern trade team, which had promotions and those communications going on. Then you have the brand central marketing team, which is hoardings and newspapers. There were at least 5 to 6 departments doing their own kind of communication strategies and content pieces. What is shifting very massively right now, what we are observing with most of the larger brands, is now they create brand marketing content and they create product content. Right. Now, this product content is created keeping in mind all the channels of sales, and then we create a very like a macro level design, and then we do a lot of adaptations for different channels these days. Classic example, as you asked, that if I can explain, we work with a brand called Chayos, which has over 100 retail stores, cafes now. When they launch a product, it's in kind of some flavors and some kind of collection of product. We create a larger storyline around that product range. So, for example, if it is a pre-mix kind of a thing, you can just open the sachet, put it in hot water, your chai is ready. So we created a tagline around it that, घर जैसा स्वाद, घर से दूध घर जैसा स्वाद. So, we created a storyline around the entire product range. And then we did the production as in like photo shoots and the videos, social media content, the print, or maybe some kind of, Amazon A+ content. Every multiple channel content was created by us around that product line, keeping all the channels in mind now. And that's how things are moving now. Instead of channels deciding what to do, product level content is being created by the brand and then getting disseminated across various channels. Right. So that's where the major shift is happening right now. Yeah.
And that's on the product side and the brand side, right? On the other side, can these content or pieces of content, snippets, be sort of customized at an individual level for the ultimate consumer to consume as well? Or we are, that's sort of way far down the line as of now. For example, like let's say Nikhil has XYZ interest and I have ABC interest, but we're both sort of, let's say, interested in a new mix from Giles or is there a time, is there a possibility that soon we'll actually be seeing different pieces of content for the same product because it's sort of bespoke, customized at a programmatic level to our individual?
It is already happening. It is already happening. Programmatic ads are a big success in India already. But it is totally dependent on yes, you are right. It depends on what kind of interests and clicks and the pages you follow on Insta, for example. So you will start seeing a different version compared to Nikhil would be seeing. That is already happening, but this is happening from a collection of things already in the back end. So it picks up according to the most matchable mix, and then they will pick up images, and the copies are already written and create something unique for you. So that is already happening, I guess.
Yes, on the advertising side, yes, it's happening in terms of pop-up. I was more wondering on the content. Like, is there one creative copy, or will that creative copy have enough AI-driven, ML-driven code in it that the storyline changes based on who's consuming it?
It might start happen if Instagram or these channels start to allow that. But yeah, it definitely will happen because the technology is already there, which is being used for ads. But I think for like posts and for Amazon, if these platforms they allow us to do that, we would love to explore that as well. Yeah.
Right. Just one more thing on one of the things that people often talk about when sort of advertising dollars moves to Facebook and whatever it is, these channels is right. How do you sort of assess the impact of that? Right. It's a lot of people say it's a little bit of a mystery because we don't know. It's a very difficult situation to see what if or what ifs without it. So in your case, I mean, I saw just before the podcast, I was just Googling around. I saw that there was some, you had signed up with Zydus, I think, with the recent contract and got a full circle contract. That, like, for an example, like how do they sort of view your performance in terms of, do they actually map per content and how many have converted into actual purchases? Do they have that? How does it typically work in your?
So in particularly in advertisements, the digital advertisements, there's a lot of data available. So there's a lot of multiple testing also happens. So A/B testing, ABC testing, ABCD testings, and now these days, there are a lot of auto conversions of the same content to test what customer segment is liking, what kind of content more. So in the backend, there's a lot of automation already there to test all of this. So when they spend so much of money on advertising platforms, they are definitely trying to optimize every bit of it, and that's where the whole programmatic or the whole automation in terms of advertisements happen in the backend. So those things happen.
What's your view? I mean, obviously, you are looking at things a fair bit from the operationalization of campaigns end of spectrum. But I want to also ask you, how do you see consolidation happening within your client base? In the sense that, for example, we often, because we run an advisory business on the side, so we get a fair amount of visibility on capital flows, right? What kind of money is going where. And we have noticed that the last 12 months, there has been a fairly intense risk off from D2C, right? The guys just don't want to touch D2C as much as they wanted to touch them, probably an year and a half or 2 years back, and that's having a real impact, right? That's having a real impact in the sense that now, especially in some particular sub segments, say processed foods, you're seeing CPG or FMCG companies buying online first D2C brands very aggressively. So they are kind of adding them to their portfolio, and because they have the distribution which goes beyond the 60-70 million people which most brands like to target, especially in the digital domain. The offline players have that reach, right? How do you see that manifest into the marketing spend pattern of these companies? Have there been an appreciable shift away from online first? There's a more hybrid approach that you see on ground. Are there some preferred channels which people perceive as more effective, right? What's things like video, things like short format. So what's your insight on that?
See, today every brand is trying to be online only because of the reason that everybody felt that it is very wise to be on multiple channels, right? Not from the sales perspective, but at least from the presence perspective, it's something which is bankable, right? In 2021, 20 and 21, everybody realized that. Which category you are in as a brand makes a lot of difference whether you should be aggressive in the online space or in the offline space. So, for example, if you're an FMCG brand, your 95% or maybe more might come from your general trade or modern trade, channel of sales. E-commerce might not be very, very quick commerce might give you some good results, but it's very small right now. If you are in a fashion, clothing, footwear, where e-commerce is doing really, really well, I think makes sense. Brands like Puma or Fab India, their online, contributions are touching almost like 25, 30%, contribution is already coming from these brands for online sales, which is pretty huge, I would say. And then you have D2C brands, which are like pure play online first brands. And you're right, investments were very heavy in this segment because few brands, shot up to success very, very quickly. Mamaearth and, Wow Skincare and other couple of few brands. But off late, it's a very difficult business, I would say. I've been into retail almost like 20 years now. In the end, it is retailing, okay? It is, and retail principles won't go even if you are in e-commerce. It's an inventory-driven business. It's very difficult to win an overnight market. Few brands who were like early movers in the D2C space, they could create a lot of buzz because of the influencer activity. Particularly, I'm talking about Mamaearth and other personal care brands who generated a lot of interest in D2C segment. They could utilize the missing link at that time of influencer UGC content. And when they exploded so much, everybody started using it. And now it's like, gone to dust. Now I know that the influencer is not saying the right thing. So it's already paid. So I'm not getting really, really influenced by the influencer content also. But yes, it is about visibility. It is about awareness of the brand. That ways influencers are really, really still very good in the country. But will I buy that product is a very big question mark right now. Because there are a lot of other things that have to come together so that I can buy that product. And that's where I'm saying that, things like pricing, your product quality, your content quality, because eventually I'm paying money in the D2C space or the online space. I'm paying money to just buy that content piece. Mm-hmm. The product is going to be, received by me after 3 days. That's when I'll buy the product.
Do you think there are some categories which are more suited for online first, in the sense that often one looks like, for example, personal care and beauty you mentioned, electronics, these are very commoditized kind of offerings, right? Effectively, from the standpoint of volumetric sales, from the standpoint of shipping, they are just very efficient. They are way more efficient versus, say, processed food, right? So do you think there are some categories which are just, and that's probably the reason why a lot of the founders who were early adopters went for these buckets, right? They went for like, being like a Bombay shaving company rather than actually being like like a snacking brand or an organic food brand, which are where the cycle is slightly longer, where the shelf life of the product is shorter, where shipping efficiencies or CACs get out of whack. Do you see that also to play a role?
I feel I very strongly feel that it is about discoverability of the product. If the product is very high on innovation, or it is very high on a totally missing gap in the market, there's a product category that you're launching which is very new, or you're launching a product which is very new, and the discoverability of that product is very high. The chance of customer loving that product is extremely high. I think definitely online will play a much better role in terms of faster penetration in the country compared to offline channels. But if you are launching something like a new earbuds or a new headphone brand, you might still prefer a offline distribution platform, because if you have anything new to talk about, you can just burn money, bring in celebrities, or there's no product innovation, there's no new thing you're talking about. And then, of course, how our logistics system in the country is, whether that supports cold storages or the food items, the perishability of the food items and stuff. Of course, that kind of those kind of features, factors are already should be considered. Yeah.
From like when we talk about sort of investor slowdown, I mean, there are a couple of reasons being cited, right? I mean, this is happening for the last 10, 12 months. One of the reasons is just saying CACs are going up. Customer acquisition costs have gone significantly up, asymmetrically higher than what they were earlier, and there are more players in the market. Now, CACs going up technically is actually a benefit for folks like you, because I mean, their CAC is your revenue. But also it has a macro impact on the overall industry, that when CACs are going up, it sort of discourages more guys to come in. So how do you view this, proliferation of heightened CACs and sort of trying to win that customer? And, back in the day, like we talked about Bombay Shaving Company or like now there are 3 or 4 folks in the same category who are doing something very similar. They all have subtle differences, but the way to differentiate becomes content. One of them becomes content. I mean, it's price in product and content. Product is commoditized. It's sort of what branding narrative that is being built. And so how do you sort of view that? Because CACs going up is sort of a benefit for you, but probably not best for the entire industry.
Yeah, definitely. It's actually something which is very worrying, because what happened is that in last 2 years, the spends have gone up really, really high. But the penetration of internet or the e-commerce customers has not increased that in that percentage. What has happened is that Nikhil, for example, is getting 2 years back he was being targeted by one brand. Now he's being targeted by 5 brands of the same category, of the same interest, same kind of offering and similar kind of pricing. Now, obviously, and you're right in saying that the content will definitely play a very important role, because out of 5, I have to click on one. And I'll click on, I think, the one which has a great pricing and great content at the same time. That will be my first preference any day. Why? I very strongly believe that the shift that I explained earlier, that every channel was working on it, on the content on its own, and now it is being shifted to 1 or 2 key agencies working on the entire communication, is also one of the reasons is to reduce the context of top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel transition. Because what is happening is on top of the funnel, we are selling moon and stars to the customers, but during the journey, the whole context is getting lost, because every step after that is being designed or owned by somebody else, and it is not in sync with the top of the funnel communication. And there's a major loss of or dropouts of customers during the journey. Now, for example, you do kick-ass celebrity video on a YouTube, and then when I reach on the Amazon product page, it is just 3 or 4 white background images. There's no mention of what great features that say Dhoni was talking about in that ad. So obviously there will be a drop, but I will feel that I might get cheated, or this is some other brand altogether, or whether I have landed on the same page or not. In between, there are website pages. In between, you have social media pages. So this communication about one single campaign on which the crores of rupees are being invested, this has to come together as one single line of communication to remove those dropouts of the customers and increase the conversion percentages later on. And that's what we feel is going to change a lot of it might improve the conversions drastically. So that's what we have been working on. We have been explaining this to the brands. We are trying to train this and educate them on this. Don't miss on the context. Top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel. There should be a sync up.
Yeah.
So we're trying our best from our side, because performance marketing agencies or digital marketing companies are waking up to understand the impact of great content and the continuity of the communication. But I think there's very limited data, because nobody has actually studied this contextually. So we also are sometimes get data, sometimes we don't get data, but we have this very strong discussions. We work with a lot of partners and affiliates who are performance marketing companies. So the feel is there. Everybody is realizing that this is very important, but I have not seen a report or a very strong industry data that how this context can be streamlined.
And when you say content, obviously content includes multiple things, but you sort of have a preference or focus on the video piece of the video side of things. Is that fair, or no?
No, not really. I think it should whatever we make should work for the brand, and we are not limited to, or we don't propose videos too much. If it is relevant, we should. For example, in electronics, I can't propose a model video. I can propose a maybe unboxing video, or application video, or how to put things together, kind of a video. Only if and for fashion, we'll always suggest videos, because it gives a motion, it gives the correct feel and fall of the product. So it depends on the category, depends on the stage of the brand, where the brand is. Video is little expensive. People are little, apprehensive, or like they don't want to spend too much. But if the brand requires, we do those videos. What I mentioned when right from top of the funnel, I'm not saying that we go and make celebrity videos, but if there is a celebrity video, give the whole context to us, and we'll create rest of the assets which are actually going to help in better conversions for the brand.
What are you seeing, from a technology standpoint? Effectively, there are obviously some formats and some channels which are now pretty much, bread and butter, right? I mean, I imagine a lot of things are very mobile first in terms of, formats, in terms of copy, and that device framework is always in the back of your mind, right? And then obviously the second level would be whether it's like through social, it's through Google, it's through email. That's the softer aspect of things, right? But from a technological standpoint, what do you think is going to be the next big thing coming out? Because we keep on hearing noises around augmented reality, VR, around metaverse, how in gaming environments you can actually potentially find commercialization ops. A lot of it is obviously buzz. A lot of it is, might not have a lot of feet right now. It might be like 5 or 10 years away before it reaches some sort of critical mass. But what do you think is the next in line?
Next in line is definitely AR. Amazon is already testing on multiple categories in India. Middle East, we work with Moon. They are also testing with 3D in AR possibilities, particularly around furniture, electronic items. How do they look in your room? So these kind of features are already becoming reality. Jewelry, watches have already been tested. Lenskart has been doing that for many years now. I think that will take over, in a couple of years in terms of even in fashion. Also, I am foreseeing that that something will happen in the AR that you will be able to see how it looks on you. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, that we will eventually move to the most realistic possible way of selling the products, which is the sales guy standing and explaining the product. That can happen through VR or any kind of gamification. I think e-commerce will move towards gamification as well, with the help of VR and stuff like that. So these kind of hyper realistic environments will start moving in next 5 to 6 years. But in next couple of years, I think AR should be a very big thing, I would say.
But do you think that will take the shape of like cloud stores where you actually don't step out of your home? The salesman comes to you in a virtual environment and then the thing gets shipped to you, or you think they're going to be that the entire element of physical brick and mortar?
Some portion of the population will definitely adopt to this. The way still I would say that US has been on e-commerce from last 20 years, but the penetration of e-commerce or organized retail percentage is only 8 to 10% or maybe 12% if I'm not wrong. I think people love shopping, going outside. We are talking about maybe 30, 40 years timeline where everybody is like stuck with their devices and nobody's stepping out. But I guess some population will definitely adopt to it.
I mean, that's anyways an opportunity for weight loss products, right? Because if you're not moving, then what else?
Yes, definitely is. Another technology intervention that has happened recently is GPT, of course, and AI tools. So we are at least in the back end, we have started using a lot of tools, which is helping us bring down the cost as well as the time being taken to create something. At least in text, it is very, very successful. Images, videos, yet to be seen till now. There are tools like Midjourney and stuff like that, which are creating, very realistic images. If you type some text or give some environment, it will create an image. We're trying our hands on that. We are still not very successful. We are testing all those things.
But do you mean that's from the standpoint of optimizing your workflow? I imagine, right?
Ours, and even for the brands also, there will be some kind of work loss that we will also see. At least in the repetitive and the clerical kind of things, because brands will start, using such simple tools on their own and create complex things. So we will also evolve. Eventually, we are all evolving.
I'll ask you something like it's because it's pretty common. There are very few fields which have now not been touched by any kind of a DIY SaaS type of a play. And I guess marketing and branding is one of those fields, right? Obviously, though, there are lots of tools which help you optimize your flow, but it's not like you're a set of coders who build a platform which can replace you, right? Do you think that that's something which can happen in the future, in the sense that they can be there was a time, for example, when you had to create a video based learning module, right? There's so much heavy lifting is required that you require 5 agencies to help you. Now you have tools which actually pretty much act like a Shopify for setting up your own video training module. So do you see that also happening within your realm, or you would say that it's too creative and subjective to be?
We need to understand that AI will work on the set of information that is already available in the system. Okay, it will. So that's why I said that replication of work and duplication of work and the clerical things. These kind of jobs will be taken over by these kind of tools.
Right.
But when you have to take new, or you have to come out with something very, very different or conceptually very different, I think research and strategy is one part which machines might be able to do to some extent.
Right.
And then you have to act like a creator where you have to do the thinking part and come out with great concepts or innovative concepts. To some extent, with the use of research and strategy that the machine has done, you can do it far more efficiently and far more quickly. But the thinking, I don't know, maybe in future, maybe Elon Musk is launching something, which is crazy. I think I heard that he's integrating the AI with Twitter now.
Right.
So I don't know what will he comes up with. So, but we don't know the real end use. But I my understanding till next 10 years, I think it will be massively used for research, like secondary research, not primary research. Secondary research and devising some strategy out of it. And then you use that piece of information to create something, some tagline, some copy line, and some kind of concept, which is very different. And then again, tools can take over in terms of writing a script or using it as a storyboard. And then, of course, physical production tools are already being converted into AI production tools where you can write a prompt and animation can be created. So, so I think as a human race, we will be forced to evolve a lot creatively once these tools are, set free. I would. So there are a lot of countries and people who are really worried about these tools taking over, and they are requesting 6 months, pause on these tools so that we can understand the social impact of these things.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I think I think Sharad was also mentioning this a few days back that everybody expected AI to not touch creative pursuits, but that's something which it is targeting head on. So
explore mid-journey, you'll be really, really surprised.
I mean, musicians is a perfect example, right? I mean, it's sort of being electronically produced now. You can replicate anyone's voice and tunes and tones. But
where you can feed in some songs and ask the AI to produce a new, new melody altogether, which is free of copyrights and stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying, that it is definitely penetrating very quickly into creative space as well.
That was, I think, an episode of Guilty Minds, if I remember. Anyways.
The self-driven vehicle was also.
No, and the music one also, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, before AI, ML, I mean, obviously they're sort of creeping into our lives, I guess. What is a big positive for sort of the business you're in is sort of rapid consumerism, growth in sort of the Indian psyche. I mean, people are taking loans to buy products, right? I mean, that's sort of unheard of earlier, microloans, and that's sort of a net positive for B2C brands as such, but also for guys who are helping those brands, right? So I think we can ride on that positive note until then.
Oh, no, absolutely. I have a last very serious question. What are your recommendations for a few unboxing channels on YouTube?
Unboxing channel?
Yeah. I like Unbox Therapy and MKBHD, but I'm not very aware of anyone else.
I think they are popular because they are funny and they're very entertaining also at the same time. I think you have to be true entertainer to win any kind of audience today. So you can't just plainly just open the box and show this is there, this is this, this is that.
Sharad, that will be our unboxing channel,
Yeah.
Which only probably both of us will watch.
I think witty is one, but of course, if you are very informative, if you are very you throw a lot of perspective around the whole, what is coming out. Will this fit only into this, or it can fit go with your other devices as well? So that kind of information education will also help a lot. I think it is about understanding the consumers. In the end, everything boils down whether you understand your audience really well or not. So you create content. That's the only advice I have. Right?
Absolutely.
Consumers all the time. So, yeah.
No, thanks. Those are wise words. Thanks, Narinder, for your time. It was great fun, and I think we learned a fair bit as well. All the best for your journey ahead, and more power to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for taking our time. Sure, Nikhil, thank you so much.
No, absolutely. So this is Nikhil Arora, and I have with me Sharad Trupran signing off.